Welcome back. Some very big questions for the president-elect this week. How he plans, for example, to separate from his business and avoid big conflicts. That's one question. His 100-day legislative agenda? Well, that's another one. But when Trump meets with reporters on Wednesday in New York, don't be surprised if this comes up too.
But there was one performance this year that stunned me. It was that moment when the person asking to sit in the most respected seat in our country imitated a disabled reporter, someone he outranked in privilege, power, and the capacity to fight back. Disrespect invites disrespect. Violence incites violence. When the powerful use their position to bully others, we all lose.
As you might expect, Donald Trump did not wait very long to respond. Early this morning on Twitter, he tweets, quote, Meryl Streep, one of the most overrated actresses in Hollywood, doesn't know me but attacked last night at the Golden Globes. She is a Hillary flunky who lost big. For the 100th time, I never mocked a disabled reporter. Would never do that, but simply showed him groveling when he totally changed a 16-year-old story that he had written in order to make me look bad. Just more very dishonest media. You could come at this a number of ways. Number one, he could have let this go. Number two, he could have said, oh, such a shame, I'm a big fan. But let me come to this point. If you're Donald Trump, you're firing back. We can get into his response in a minute. But to be in a fight with what he believes to be liberal Hollywood elitists, not a bad thing for him in terms of keeping in touch with his supporters.
Absolutely, it's not a bad thing. The conservative base loves this. They view Hollywood as out of touch, elitist. You saw a lot of people rallying to his defense on the right side of the aisle. But it's so interesting how quickly he responded. Not only did he tweet this morning, last night he called one of Julie's colleagues and to push back on the phone so it would get into the press almost immediately. So much of it is a question of how much of it is him not having a very thick skin, or how much of it is him wanting to distract from the discussion about the agenda going forward, his conflicts of interest, Russia, you name it. His strategy, sometimes, is there even a strategy? It's him just going his gut reaction to respond to a lot of these things. I think that's going to be so fascinating going forward and when he assumes
I think it's more to me, and please correct me if you disagree or jump in, it's more to me, to your point, calling the New York Times, so let's talk about this, is a sort of a New York City street brawler.
Well, and it speaks to this narrative of he wants to come in as the underdog. They're all insulting me. They're all, disrespecting me and not taking me seriously. And it's ironic, obviously, because this is a man who's been in the Hollywood mix for many, many years himself. But it's true that his supporters do view Hollywood as a net negative. They view Hollywood as elitist liberals, and in fact, much of Hollywood did support Hillary Clinton in the campaign. So it's not a misplaced attempt. But again, I think it's more about creating this narrative of being in this defensive crouch, and he's hitting back at his critics even before he takes office.
But doesn't Donald Trump want to be accepted by these people? I think there is a part of him because he was at the same award shows as them not too long ago.
Wasn't he a liberal Hollywood elitist?
Exactly.
Like a couple of years ago.
That's the thing, and I think that's why to Sarah's point, he goes and stands in front of cameras with Kanye West. He likes being surrounded by famous people. So I think there is, and not to put him on the couch or something, but I think there is a little bit of resentment there that these people will not accept him. They've never accepted him, and now he's got the power to shine them on Twitter.
And it is impossible to go back and look at the video, if you looked at it at the time, of him talking about your colleague and not think he's mocking a disabled person.
Now, if you've ever seen him.
Yeah, if you've ever seen him and if you've ever seen what Mr. Trump did there, and maybe we should give him the benefit of the doubt, but he tweets all the time. He calls people stupid. He calls people clowns. And so he's sort of lost the benefit of the doubt in the way he handles people. But this morning, Kellyanne Conway, who was his campaign manager, she will be his counselor in the White House, was asked on CNN and on Fox News about this moment, especially about the campaign moment. How could you say he wasn't mocking him? And listen to this.
You can't give him the benefit of the doubt on this, and he's telling you what was in his heart. You always want to go by what's come out of his mouth rather than look at what's in his heart. I'm concerned that somebody with a platform like Meryl Streep is also, I think, inciting people's worst instincts.
Let's take these in reverse order. I'm concerned that somebody with a platform like Meryl Streep is inciting people's worst instincts. Hello. Donald Trump has a platform, and a lot of people say he incited people's worst instincts with some of the things he said during the campaign, including, in the old days we just slap him or get him out of here or things like that. And then here's one for world leaders. Listen closely to the future counselor to the President of the United States if you're a world leader. You can't give him the benefit of doubt on this, and he's telling you what was in his heart. You want to go on what's come out of his mouth rather than what's in his heart. Is she telling us not to believe what he says?
I think this goes back to what they said about him during the campaign, that his supporters took him seriously but not literally, and everyone else took him literally but not seriously. In some ways, what she's saying is you really can't just go on his words. You can't go on what he says. You can't watch a clip of him on the campaign trail and hold him to that. You have to really think about, what is he really trying to say? What does he believe? And that's impossible, and particularly for somebody who talks about the dishonest media and we can't be trusted and no reporters can ever be trusted to sort of interpret any of this or give it any context. Would he really want us to be trying to look into his heart?
And the other thing is, we have literally seen Donald Trump do impressions of a number of people throughout his time on the campaign trail. He has done an impression of me. I think it was actually the same day as he was impersonating a New York Times reporter. He did an impression of Ben Carson and his belt buckle. He did impressions repeatedly throughout the campaign. So this isn't an issue of giving him the benefit of the doubt. It's an issue of not just seeing what he was saying, but seeing what he was doing with our own eyes. And yes, we know that politicians say one thing and do another. This was what Donald Trump was not supposed to do as an outside-the-box candidate. But this is a different situation there. You're seeing it, you're hearing it. It doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of ambiguity there.
And the question is, though, that's the point President Obama was trying to make in the clip we played earlier, that there's a difference coming from the campaign to governing. When you're president and you do things like that, you can move markets or you can change geopolitical relationships. So we'll see. We'll see. We have 11 days until the swearing in at the beautiful Capitol steps right behind us. Everybody sit tight. Up next, been there, tried that. More parting advice from President Obama, who, listen in just a moment, doesn't think much of President-elect Trump's affection for Vladimir Putin.